For a medium as niche as anime, besides Blu-rays and the odd Funko Pop, you'd expect it to be snubbed by Western audiences. But in Scotland this is far from the case. We regularly see theatrical screenings of hit anime films like Your Name and A Silent Voice. And once a year, every year, cities across Scotland are treated to Scotland Loves Animation, a film festival dedicated to anime both new and old. As a fan of anime myself, I've been going for a good couple years now, and I'm here to review the 3 films that I went to see in 2018. In a world where humans have evolved to develop quirks, individually exclusive superpowers, the hero profession has taken off. After meeting his role model, the #1 hero All Might, quirkless Izuku Midoriya is granted the power of One for All and enrolls at UA High to achieve his dream of becoming the greatest hero ever. In Two Heroes, Midoriya, All Might and friends take a vacation at Eye Island. When a group of villains holds All Might and the rest of the island hostage, Midoriya and co must work their way up a tower Die Hard style and save the day. Unsurprisingly to anyone who's taken a cursory glance at anime in the past 2 years, it was a full house for this one. The best kind of audience too, absolute mega fans who didn't care if it was canon or not, but just wanted to celebrate My Hero Academia in a sea of claps, cheers and costumes. I might have just joined them if I wasn't poor. You quickly realise in an audience like this, the movies can be a better experience with other people. I had a lot more fun watching this than I would have on my own, just off the back of the room's incredible atmosphere, because while I certainly enjoyed myself, the film wasn't as compelling or tightly written as its source material. Like all filler, it suffers from having to wind up back at the same place as it was when it started, so that the integrity of the source material isn't compromised. There are certain things the film can't realistically do or threaten because we as an audience look at it and go, nah, you just made that up, that's wrong. This film, to an extent, does it anyway by trying to threaten All Might's secret identity as a skeleton, and by giving Midoriya this plot glove that makes it so he can throw punches at full power without breaking his arms, but only 3 times or else the glove breaks. The moment you know that, it's destined to break because such a powerful item just can't exist beyond the film's events. It would resolve any and every future conflict. The plot is largely very predictable because of how restricted it is, except the third act twist in which we watch a double cross take place, where friends who become enemies are betrayed by their friends who become enemies who are betrayed by their friends who become enemies. This all goes down in one scene and it's just hilarious to watch. There are other contrivances in the film's writing, particularly regarding All Might's time limit, that constantly break your immersion, and I find it to be fundamentally flawed because of this. And Melissa, the quirkless eye candy of the movie, is just that. She doesn't impact the plot in any significant way besides reminding Midoriya of his old self, and despite her motivation to contribute and act in the face of injustice, she winds up as deadweight to the characters who can literally spray fire, build cannons out of the floor, and soar through the sky in a single leap. But I'm not here to slander this film any longer because for what it is, a trivial side adventure in the world of My Hero Academia, it is an absolute blast for fans. With Bones animating this as they do the TV anime, you can expect quite the pretty picture. Although it never exceeds the quality of the TV anime, it still more than provides for the film's needs. And when push comes to shove, Bones is at it again with gorgeous Sakuga. That's when the stuff moves realistically! Indeed, it retains everything that was good and fun about the source material. A diverse and colourful range of characters, kinetic action, stellar voice acting, and some wonderful snippets of animation. Two Heroes is like a party being held to celebrate My Hero Academia in all its glory. It's not a must-see by any standard, but if you just want more of the same handed to you on a shiny silver platter, then go ahead and watch it. I think of all the films I've ever seen at Scotland Loves Anime, this is the one I feel the least about. I don't hate this film like I did Fireworks, but I don't even remotely like it either. It oozes of Your Name jealousy, trying to tell a contemporary romantic sci-fi story, but tripping over its own feet so many times that its final attempt to cajole an emotional reaction out of you falls flat. Penguin Highway is about Aoyama, an arrogant and intellectually curious young boy who falls in love with the unnamed lady who works at his local dentist's office. Penguin sightings begin to occur around town, and Aoyama soon discovers that the apple of his eye can make them appear out of soda cans. From here, Aoyama's curiosity spirals into discovery not just about the world around him, but about himself. Positives out of the way first, this is not an ugly film by any standard. The summery aesthetic of deep blues, tails, and greens is a gorgeous sight. The animation was great too. I think I speak for everyone in saying that the penguins look dumb and move hilariously. It almost starts to carry some parts of the film, and when it wanted to, the music could kick up and work with all the other on-screen elements to create a real sense of adventure and mystery. From all sides, without ever looking at the script, the film is a perfectly good time. So let's talk about the script. The first thing I want to tackle is just how uncomfortable this film can be at times. When we first meet Aoyama, we realise he's a bit of a smug idiot with a lot to learn about the world, and he seems to be trying to work on that. And they convey this in the opening scene, in which he's fascinated with women's breasts, which is pretty funny, but the more they repeat the punchline, the less funny it becomes. And it is repeated over and over for seemingly no reason. This kid is like 8. He isn't even at that age where kids start thinking about sex, but at least this isn't any more uncomfortable than a bad joke. Aoyama's relationship with the lady from the dentist's office is genuinely creepy. This is a 20-something woman who spends most of her free time with a 10-year-old, and their relationship is almost overtly flirtatious. The kid lusts after her and she doesn't discourage it. There was actually a point in the movie where I thought the kid's parents had reported her to the police, because the day after he stays over at her house, she goes away for a while under mysterious circumstances. It's weird and I don't like it. To talk about Aoyama a bit more, as the centre of the film is an 8-year-old boy, it should come to no surprise that Penguin Highway is a coming-of-age story, but that's all it really is. There is no powerful message beyond, hey, did you know? You don't know everything you know. Maybe gaining life experience is what it means to be an adult. And how many times has a film told you that on top of so much more? Penguin Highway is like if Luke Skywalker was the only developed character in Star Wars. The side characters only exist to propel the story's needs and create pointless conflict. It means that the film is sorely lacking in substance, and all Aoyama really learns at the end of the film is to channel his obsession with a collection of knowledge into something beyond the inflation of his own ego. He still thinks he's brilliant and totally the smartest kid ever. He hasn't truly matured, only been pushed in a particular direction in life. The film tries to hold itself together desperately as a mystery story with only a slight attachment to deductive reasoning, but around the third act it completely breaks away from logical thinking just so it can reach its own climax, the plot getting lost in a sea of unengaging visual noise. It even forgets to explain why the conflict of the film happened in the first place and dares to set itself up for a sequel. At the very least, it doesn't end exactly where it started. That's a crime only Fireworks is guilty of committing. Penguin Highway is a decent time if you're going into your films without thinking about them, but under any scrutinisation it collapses under the incompetence of its own writing. I wouldn't recommend you go see this one unless it's with some friends or it's showing at a festival like Scotland Loves Anime and you're still just a bit curious. We're on to greener pastures with Mirai, a unique coming-of-age film by the critically acclaimed Mamoru Hosoda of Summer Wars and Wolf Children fame. Mirai is about a toddler named Kun, who grows extremely jealous of the attention being lavished upon his new sibling Mirai. He starts to throw tantrums, and over the course of the film, as the family begins to settle into the new roles and structures, Kun learns to accept Mirai into his life through a series of surreal experiences. It's hard to provide a good synopsis for this movie because it's less a describable story and more of a sequence of self-evident events. You would think that a film about a raging toddler might be simply irritating to sit through, but there's something delightful about the way this film is put together. Firstly, it tells a very personal story, never deviating from characters within Kun's own household. Mirai is about family first, but it's also about the inevitability of change. Having the film told through the eyes of a 4-year-old gives what would normally be just another coming-of-age movie a more innocently petulant perspective, while ultimately connecting with a far broader audience. Everyone has hated their family at one point or another, and the process of healing and emotional calming is fully depicted here. Thematically, this film is extremely tight, and it results in a naturally emotional movie-going experience. There are points in the film where Kun finds himself in really strange situations. At one point he's sailing back through his own family tree and winds up on a motorcycle journey with his great-granddad shortly after the war ended. At another he's abandoned and alone on a sinister railway platform, and a red light from a big scary train carriage is trying to suck him in. These bizarre fantasy elements of Mirai are never explained and don't really have to be. They add to the film's charm and convey the imagination of childhood, as it is unclear how much of these oddities are a figment of Kun's imagination as he gradually accepts Mirai into his subconscious notion of the existing family structure. They may even just be anecdotal dream sequences that Kun is then able to learn from and grow as a person. Either way, they add a fantastical texture to what would otherwise probably be a visually dull family drama. Mirai is difficult to talk about in any excruciating detail. The animation and the music doesn't fail to serve as the character-driven story it wants to tell. Its emotional hook comes from the inherent beauty of the cycle of life and the family dynamic that it successfully conveys, rather than the surmounting of an obstacle or a threat. Mamoru Hosoda certainly delivers again with a film that's small in scope but has a big heart. I would definitely recommend you see it. I had a lot of fun as always at Scotland Loves Anime 2018. It's always a good place to meet and chat with like-minded fans, and you'll never find a movie-going audience as enthusiastic as this anywhere else. My only issue with the event was the weak selection of films. Way back in April time I was thinking about what they would show and figured it was obvious. My Hero Academia, 2 Heroes and Mirai were obvious picks too that fortunately made it in, but the only other notable films in the lineup were Fate Stay Night Heaven's Feel, I Want to Eat Your Pancreas, and Gundam Thunderbolt 1. Maybe I'm just salty I didn't get to see Code Geass when it was in cinemas thanks to that bar fire on Renfrew Street. Yeah, that's probably it. So next time Scotland Loves Anime comes around, which will probably be October 2019, I would encourage you to go. Even if you're not a huge anime buff, the films they often show are made to appeal to wider film-going audiences. It's a great celebration of niche movies, and the overseas anime industry could always do with the support. I can near guarantee a good time.